Well, hello everyone, and welcome to TV Salesian, where I'm joined by Year 11 student Joshua Meedin. And our topic, of course, is about the student-led conferences that are coming up the week after next, on Wednesday the 15th of March, and then the following week, Wednesday the 22nd of March. It's something, boys, that I'm sure that most of you are feeling some degree of anxiety about, because it's something that we have never done here at Salesian College before. But when we turn away from the worksheets that you've had and all the booklets and so forth and all the preparation you've gone into, ultimately it's a fairly simple sort of a process. It's an oral presentation where for 3 or 4 minutes tops, you'll be asked to speak about a favourite topic of all of us, which is ourselves. And what you really need to do is, after you've introduced your parents or guardians to your oratory leader, is just give a summary of how you went last year, looking at some of the joys, the achievements, the triumphs, the things that went really well, and as well, of course, acknowledging those things that didn't do as well as you might have wanted it to. Having done that, you go on to give a quick précis, a quick summary of how things are at the moment. How has the year started for you? What are your subjects like? How have you acclimatised to life here in your year level at Salesian College? For the Year 7 boys, that's really, I think, going to be the main part of your student-led presentation. How have you settled into life at Salesian College? I think also for the boys in Year 9, that's going to be a major part of your exercise too. How have things gone for you at the Mannix campus with a new program? How are you fitting in? What are the challenges? What are the great things? What are the worries, perhaps, that you have about the things that you've experienced so far this year? Then the third and final part of your oral presentation, your student-led presentation, is to explain what you would like to achieve in the short term, in the medium term, and in the long term. And of critical importance to all of that, boys, is having set goals. How are you going to bring them about? What are the practical actions? What specific tasks are you going to do in order to give yourself the prospect of actually achieving those goals and objectives? Just a couple of key points too for boys in Years 9 and 10. Year 9 boys, if you've got aspirations to take a VC subject in Year 10 next year, you must address that as one of your major goals. You must explain how it is that you're going to meet that high benchmark that's required to take early entry into a VC subject in Year 10. Similarly, for boys in Year 10 who are contemplating doing Unit 3-4 subject in Year 11, you guys too must explain how you're going to do that. That's your goal, that's what you aim to achieve. How are you going to move from here to achieve that aspiration? What are the practical things you're going to need to do to achieve that particular goal? It's also important too, at this stage, guys, when we're entering the final couple of weeks in the lead up to the student-led conferences, to understand why it is that we're embarking upon this ambitious and quite new approach to things. There are two key reasons for it, two aims that underpin the rationale for the student-led conferences. The first is to empower you as students to take control and responsibility of your learning, your destiny, rather than being passive participants in parent-teacher interviews. You are in charge, you're in control, and it's a really good opportunity for you to seize the moment and to seize your destiny. The second reason is to involve your parents and guardians much more, in a much richer fashion than has been possible hitherto. Teachers and students have lots of engagements together at school. Parents and students at home, sometimes it's the case there's conversations around school and schoolwork and how are things going. But it's hard, unless we do something like this, to really actively involve parents, guardians, students and teachers together at the one time, with the student as the focus. I would like to wish every boy in the school all the very best in this exercise. Please don't be overly anxious about it. bearing in mind it is essentially a student-led conference, which is another way of saying it's an oral presentation where you give a summary of how you went last year, how you're going at the moment, and what you would like to achieve in the future. It really is that simple. I've got here with me Joshua Meedin. Josh is a Year 11 boy. He's in my oratory class. Josh was a high achieving student in Year 10 last year, and Josh has the honour, and a bit of a burden too in some respects, of being the first boy at Salesian College to deliver his student-led conference. It's a little bit of an artificial environment here. Not only is it being filmed, but Joshua's mum and dad aren't here with us. But hopefully Josh's example here will give you an idea, a practical example of what a student-led conference entails. So I'd like to thank Josh for his courage and for congratulating him for his organisation in being in a position now that he can deliver his presentation. So Josh, when you're ready, please, away you go.
So good afternoon, Mr. Carter. Thank you for taking your time to listen to my presentation, which will be about my progress so far at school and what my goals are for the future. So basically, I will give you a brief outline on how I performed last year and what my goals are for VC. My academic performance overall in 2016 was okay for me, as I thought I could have done better and achieved higher scores. In my latest report, which was semester 2 last year, my overalls were 90% in biology, unit 2, 69% in advanced maths, 100% in oratory, 81% in English, 94% in core science, 76% in PE, and 96% in design and tech. Maths last year was probably my most disappointing score, as math is usually one of my strongest subjects. Reason for this is that I didn't really understand what was going on because I wasn't used to the way the sir explained it. My highlight of last year would be excelling in my first attempt at a BC subject, which was biology, but also in each of the sciences, history, religious studies, and design and technology. So I believe that my behavior last year was exceptionally good, as it was my first year that I did not receive any cautions, and I just dedicated myself to my studies, which is what I still try to do now. The way I dedicated myself was by using my time efficiently and focusing on small pieces of each subject that would eventually make up the key concepts of each topic. Committing myself and trying, committing myself and trying my best not to get distracted by social media and gaming helped me get an in-depth meaning of each subject. Last year was a good year overall, and what I enjoyed the most was learning from my mistakes that I made. One that stands out for me is probably getting a 69 and 73% in maths, but also failing my first maths test. This really opened my eyes and made me work harder in not just maths, but also in my other subjects. The main challenges for me that I experienced last year was becoming restless after exam time due to all the late nights spent studying and also having to wake up at 6 a.m. to catch the train. I missed 8 days of school last year, and this was due to ankle or knee injuries and also sickness. Now we are in 2017, and I am undertaking my VC. The subjects that I'm currently doing now is English, physics, chemistry, specialist maths methods, and biology unit 3-4. But I have subjects such as, so far everything is going smoothly, but I've noticed that the workload has increased for particular subjects such as English. So I try my best to manage my time and finish all my work on time. During my leisure time, I play competitive basketball on Saturday mornings, and sometimes I go for training on Sunday afternoon. I used to love playing games during my study breaks, but because the workload has increased, I've had to cut that time down and put that into my studies. My motivation to succeed in my studies is that I want to be the best of the best and put in what I studied to help people who are less fortunate than myself Before I tell you about the goals that I want to accomplish, I first want you to get you to familiarize with the strategy that I will be using to accomplish these goals. To concentrate more on my studies, I've increased my study time, as I said before, trying to balance my time as effectively as I can, get some gaming time in to relax my mind. Keeping active is also quite important, as I play basketball on Saturday mornings, while also balancing tuition on the weekend too. One key method that I have been using for the past few years is creating a summary book for most, if not all, my subjects. The way in which I create this summary book is by reading the text book or topics on the internet and making notes in my own words. So the way I make these notes is by basically summarizing the key points, and if I don't understand something, I would just add in a couple of examples. So like for maths, if I don't understand an equation, I might just add a couple of examples and read over it. Due to poor averages I received in maths last year, I understand that my method may need some tweaking, especially because I'm now in BC. I may need to add some more work ethics, such as maybe adding 5 minutes to each subject, creating notes each night instead of just one subject. So now I will tell you my goals I wish to accomplish. In 20 years' time, I hope to be a fully qualified orthopedic surgeon and have my own private health clinic with my close friends Deekshana and Leon. I'll be one of the leading surgeons in the Alfred or Royal Children's Hospital. I would also like to be traveling at least once every year to different countries to indulge myself in their cultures and learn their history. I would also like to give back to those who have helped me reach that position, mainly my parents. I also would like to be running my own tuition business with Leon and Deekshana to help children not only get better academic scores, but to become a better person. So in order to achieve these goals, I need to dedicate myself to my studies and sacrifice 2 years, but still have some fun in my life to enjoy it until I die. Because I will leave school knowing that I achieved all that I wanted from the 13 years I spent attending classes. The way that my parents and family can help me achieve these goals are just by being there to support me and help me get back up when I fall, and always pushing me to do better. The same way the college can also assist me by creating that atmosphere on a larger scale. So before I conclude this presentation, is there any questions that you would like to ask me, sir?
Well, just a couple of comments. I think first, Josh, I was really I thought it was great that you emphasised that you did want to have some fun over the next couple of years. That it wasn't going to be just a matter of just work, 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 work. And it's really important to plan to have some fun along the way. Because not only does it make things easier to do in terms of negotiating the way through the days and the weeks and the months and the years, what it does really do is it actually makes you a more effective student if you've got some things you enjoy doing along the way. With say biology as your 3-4 subject this year, one question I do have is, particularly given you've got such a big workload with specialist maths and methods and chemistry, physics, English and so forth, as well as oratory, how are you going to ensure you do really well at bio whilst also ensuring that you're not falling behind in your other subjects? Have you given that much thought, Josh?
Yeah, actually during the holidays I gave that a lot of thought. So basically what I wanted to do was, like, if I had a 1-2 sec and a 3-4 sec on the same time, I'll try to in a way balance it, because I don't want to neglect my 1-2 subjects, because those are like the foundation for the 3-4. So I might spend a little bit more time on the 3-4 subject, but I will also make sure that I spend time on the 1-2 subject, making sure that I cover every key aspect of that topic.
And another question too. You said you wanted your parents' support to both encourage you and also to help pick you up when you're feeling down. Is that something that's going to be, I think, you think a realistic part of your life in the next couple of years, that you're going to feel down a lot?
Well, not going away, like I might get a little bit stressed, so I might need some maybe comforting someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Other than just like you said, work.
Yeah.
So like to express my feelings to someone else.
And what about your friends here at school? I'm just interested to note how you might, with your good friends, do they have similar goals as yourself?
Yeah, so like I said with Deeks and Leon, they have very similar goals to myself.
Yes.
So all of us want to do a tuition business.
Yeah.
Mainly Deeks wants to also become like a surgeon with me, and we want to open our clinic together.
Okay.
But like all my other friends, like Nathan and Zach, they also want to become engineers. So they work hard, and they also do like gym and sport, but they still balance it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And do you help each other with
Yeah.
your studies?
So like sometimes we might do calls, like video calls, and so if someone's not understanding something, they can just ask the other person what to do. Like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Josh, thank you. That's you've done a really good job, and I think in terms of articulating where you've come from, where you are now, and setting out a path for the future, you've done that in a really sensible and mature way. And I'd just really like to congratulate you on the way in which you've undertaken this business. And again, thank you for being involved in this exercise here. And congratulate you on the way in which you've handled what's I'm pretty nervous myself. What's an unusual situation for both of us. So well done, Josh. Okay, so Josh is one boy of 1,030 here at Salesian College. He's a Year 11 student with particular background and a particular set of circumstances and particular goals that he has for the future. Every boy in Salesian College is unique. If you're in Year 7, you will have your own lens through which to see this. If you're in Year 12, Year 8, Year 9, each boy will have different situations, different aspirations, different backgrounds, and you should all be proud of who you are, what you're doing, and where you're going to go. I'd encourage all of you to take from Josh's example and to think deeply about where you're at the moment, where you'd like to go to in the future, and how you yourself, first and foremost, but your parents and also the school can help you achieve your goals. The other thing too, boys, I'd like to say is that just as Josh and I have made little mistakes and hiccups here, you too, in your presentation, you're bound to make the odd mistake or slip up. It's really not about getting points for eloquence. It's not about points for really having a really good presentation for presentation's sake. The value in it is your insights into how you are now and where you're going to in the future. And for that, the key thing is honesty and insight. Honesty and insight. So good luck, fellas, for the student-led conferences. Wish you all the very best, and looking forward to hearing about how things work out for you and your classes in the weeks after that.